You know it's BYOB around here. Bring your own booze. Welcome in to the Bro Force Squad podcast, where we are just a bunch of bros drinking beer and talking movies. This is episode 185, and I am your host, the Mayor Jeff Hornacek. Thank you so much for joining us for the movie discussion tonight. Before we dive in, let's introduce the American hero, Nate Thurman. Nate, a food-themed episode tonight as it pertains to movies. So I got to ask you a real-life food question. This Saturday, how much beer and barbecue are we going to consume?
Until they cut us off, at least for the beer portion. And there's what Horns is referring to as this barbecue and beer festival we're going to this weekend. So looking forward to this for a while. Excited. They did have an all-you-can-eat option, which opted out of because I don't want to get. I love barbecue. Don't want to get full up on it because then I can't drink afterwards. So right. You gotta pick your battles.
That's not safe for me.
No, won't be.
I don't have a thing called willpower.
That is true.
Typically a requirement with an all-you-can-eat. I fully expect us to be asked kindly to leave.
I mean, it's outside. We may get a little rowdy. There's a concert afterwards, so.
God, there is?
Mm-hmm.
My shirt might find its way off of me at some point.
I will take it off you if we need.
Or just when my gut gets so big that it won't fit underneath it anymore.
Oh, God. Milk was a bad choice.
Good segue. All right, here on the Bro Force Squad podcast, we begin every episode with the most important thing in any bro's life, and that is Chest Day. And we had an idea this week for our Chest Day topic to discuss food in movies, specifically scenes that have really stuck with us over the years for positive or negative reasons. Nate, I think the idea of food might have been yours, and then Ronnie Cycli chimed in with possibly like your most envious moments of meals that were served in movies.
Yeah, we had some good riffs. I'm honestly always thinking about food. That's how I plan a lot of my vacations around food, where the next place I'm going to eat. So it's kind of a easy segue. And then Ronnie springboarded off of that nicely, and this is kind of where we've landed. So pretty excited to run through these scenes of our past.
Yeah, so basically it will be any scene in a movie that had a specific memory stick with you regarding a meal or food. It could be iconic because of the food or a meal that you were just like, damn, that looks good. I actually have a best and worst dinner or meal, I guess, from a movie. And then some famous honorable mentions that I think we might have some interesting insights to.
Yes.
So I'll let you go first. Good or bad regarding food? What's one of the first things that comes to your mind when you think of a specific movie scene or even just a movie in general and how food stuck with you over the years?
So this is one that Ronnie had actually mentioned, but was already kind of percolating in my head too as I was thinking about all this stuff. We are both big Harry Potter nuts. So the Great Hall in Harry Potter, it's you see it so many times. It's so iconic to Harry Potter. But just having, I don't care, breakfast, lunch, I don't care. Just give me one meal in the Great Hall. It's just filled to the brim with whatever you want. You can have all the butter beers you want.
So let me ask a quick question about butter beers. I believe they're served at Harry Potter Land, but seeing as how they're served to students at Hogwarts, are they alcoholic?
I've always had the assumption that they were, and most of the kids are
it's
around
like Europe.
15, 16. Yeah, so London, they can have beer. It's no big deal.
They really don't give a fuck over there.
No. But yeah, just you always see Ron in there with his face stuffed, and he's having a good time. And even when the kids are in a bad mood, they're always going to be in that hall, eating up their favorite treats. So. Yeah, that'd be probably my number one place I'd like to go have a meal sometime.
It is, I think, iconic in the sense of like it establishes a really good like vibe for like a cafeteria to give you sort of that school feel, but it also takes all of the mysticism and intrigue that Hogwarts has, and kind of embody that.
And even outside of the food, I mean, just in and of itself, you have the floating candles above you. Look up, you see, if it's nighttime, you see the night sky in the ceiling. So, like you were saying, like all the mysticism and all that kind of stuff. So, it's all encompassing. The atmosphere, the food, everything, the company. You're in a big room with witches and warlocks.
And I'm not the Potterhead like you and Cycly and even Banner are, but to my recollection too, some very crucial scenes in the series take place there, right? Like when they realize that Voldemort is back, isn't that where Dumbledore sort of makes the proclamation to the students, is in the Great Hall?
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning, the Sorting Hat is there, so some of Harry's first experiences with magic is there when a lot of the kids' destiny, not necessarily destinies, but kind of their path is chosen since they're choosing the house they're in there. And then, the fact that Voldemort is back is revealed there. And then, I mean, part of the last big battle in the final movie and book are grouped around the Great Hall. So definitely a lot of pivotal scenes outside of just food.
That's where the Hogwarts holds their all staff meetings.
Mm-hmm. They'll have a few family sized quiches out there. Just come in, dig in, maybe a few croissants.
I noticed you didn't say the tea.
Is there a tea at the end? I don't think there is.
All right, that's a good one. Do you have any other ones for best ones, or should I get mine?
I've got a few. I'll throw this one in there because this was kind of a tie. And it's just because, spoiler, this is pretty high on my top 100. Just because I love this movie so much. It's the fish tacos from I Love You Man at James Beach. And the cool thing about this, well, first of all, the fish tacos are the tits. So
yes.
If anything is described as the tits, I mean, I don't think you're going to top that with the other taco you have anywhere else.
That's a chef's kiss type compliment.
And the other thing, it actually references James Beach, which is an actual restaurant there and on the boulevard there. So if and when I ever make it out to there, that part of the world, I will definitely be making a trip down there to have some fish tacos.
Oh yeah. Also, just Jason Segel freaking out at people on the boardwalk while his dog shits everywhere is an iconic part of that movie.
Yeah, the whole thing. It all wraps up nicely. They make the tortillas in house. It really sets up the whole taco.
These are the tits. All right, my best meal is one that I'm not even sure actually happened, Nate, and that is the Lost Boys dinner in Hook. This was the first one I thought of.
Iconic.
Yeah, it definitely is. This is where Pan sort of, well, not even sort of. This is where he remembers how to be a lost boy, essentially. By using his imagination and that childlike whimsy that has left him and really put him in the predicament he's in with Captain Hook. And I'll be honest, I've seen this scene. This is like, if you actually wanted to break this down on like a film school level, I think it actually is pretty metaphorical and pretty deep. Like, I know it's probably been a while since you've seen the movie because it has been for me.
Yeah.
Do you think the meal actually happened?
No.
I don't think so either.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters.
And also, I do think, too, that parents must have had an issue when this movie came out after that, of, like, their kids trying to eat Play-Doh.
Oh,
because that's basically what the food looks like.
Yeah. If I had to say, I would say the meal did not happen. But, I mean, that's what the whole scene is about. It's about Peter coming to the realization of using his imagination and going back to his roots and really becoming Peter Pan. So it's more symbolic than anything. But it's just such a fun scene, and them describing all the foods and everything. You almost start like tasting them in your mouth as you're watching them, and they're not even there. Yeah. They're not even there, but you're in the moment with them. You feel, you can get like the mouth feel, the taste, and everything. You're like, shit. Now they're just throwing Play-Doh, which looks fun as hell.
And one of the most, and this would be a fun list to put together at some point, but one of the most iconic food fights I think ever devoted to film.
Yeah.
Well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be a good one. That'd be a good list to put together for sure.
All right. Do you have any other positive ones? Because the other one I have is a negative before we get to the honorable mentions.
I I do, but I've got two that we can just include in the honorable mentions as well.
Okay. So the first one is the dehydrated, nearly exploding turkey from Christmas Vacation, where when Clark cuts into it, it like releases this gaseous substance because it's been overcooked so much. And the best part is they still try to eat it.
Yeah.
They're like it's like a brittle almost after that.
Yeah, the aftermath of that, and it's kind of cringeworthy from like an ASMR standpoint. Like the scene after that of them chewing and like just hear utensils click and them like try and gnaw on this brittle of turkey. But yeah, that thing is toast, and it's not something I want to ingest in my body.
And I think it takes place at a point too in the movie where Clark has not quite hit his breaking point yet, but it's definitely one of the things that really nudges him close to the edge.
Oh yeah, something that's spent all day on. A lot of shit has already gone wrong up to this point, so this is like the one straw that breaks the camel's back, because he's kind of relying on this turkey to kind of carry him through the rest of the night.
I know,
and then that just fucking kills it.
We needed a win, and also the gross part with the Jell-O mold.
Yeah, with the cat food in it. Yeah. It's
disgusting.
Just an all around bad scene for that.
One other negative one I wanted to bring up, not very long because I don't want to ruin this particular food for people, but you probably remember this. Have you seen the movie Matilda?
Yeah.
Do you remember the cake scene?
Oh, I absolutely remember the cake scene.
I mean, you know that I've consumed many a cake in my life, so I don't want to say that scene ruined cake for me, but I definitely took a little hiatus after that.
So it's funny, I'll go ahead and bring this up because I had this on the good scene, only not because it wasn't gross and everything, but if you go back and look at that cake, that is one of the most moist fucking cakes. That cake actually, it looks so good. So if you
know why,
I know. Yeah, if you just look at the moistness of the cake, man, that I could be fooled by it. So
I don't blame that kid. I would have eaten it too.
Yeah, but then to the end of the scene, you're basically wanting to throw up with him.
Yeah. I mean, again, didn't ruin cake for me at all.
No, I still had plenty of cake.
I'd take a yeoman's effort. All right, what else you got?
Yeah, the last one I had. So we'll go into the honorable mentions on this one. This would just be a very interesting environment to be in, to have a very dialed in and precise meal, and that would be the Goodfellas prison dinner scene when they're making the potato sauce, the tomato sauce with the spaghetti and all that, like in the prison, and they're making probably a tomato sauce or gravy, as they like to call it, that's probably been handed down for generations. So it's dialed in, and you just get so many iconic moments from that scene as well, like him slicing up the garlic with a razor blade, getting it so thin that, as he says, it basically dissolves into the sauce, which would be awesome. Can't really do that. I wish you could. That'd be awesome. But I know that, God, once you see that scene, like you can taste the sauce in your mouth. I just want it so bad. I just know it's quintessential Italian spaghetti sauce. Sounds awesome.
Wild thing to say here. I've never seen Goodfellas.
I mean, you bring up movies all the time that I've never seen. I'm like, I probably should have seen that one.
Yeah, I don't know how. I blame my parents. How'd they fuck that up?
Goodfellas, yeah, that's a good one. R.I.P. Ray Liotta recently passed away.
Yeah, so. Man, I was sad to hear that.
Yeah, that was a big one. But one of those scenes that you watch and I just want to be right in there with him, spooning up a nice meatball and spaghetti.
Sounds like you can taste the scene, which is
one of those. Absolutely.
All right, I have a list of honorable mentions. So just anything that you think of when you think of this, because I have a few thoughts.
Let's hear
First off, the movie Ratatouille introduced me to the dish Ratatouille, which typically I don't think I would like, but the way that it looks in that movie is delicious.
Yeah.
It's basically like a vegetable casserole, right?
Yeah, Ratatouille may have introduced me to Ratatouille as well. And I like cooking. I like trying to cook new things. I don't know if I'd ever want to cook this. It looks like a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
but I bet it's good.
It is a chore.
Yeah,
All the
very
layering
very
and things
thinly
like that.
sliced. I think they have like squash in it.
I think it's like squash, potatoes, tomatoes, peppers.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like I almost wouldn't
Cups.
want to eat it after it comes out. It looks so beautiful.
Yeah,
It looks
it is
good.
like
It was like the spiral design and everything.
it is a work of art.
Yeah.
I always just thought though, even like hadn't even heard of the dish, and then when I saw the movie, I was like, oh, so it's like a dual meaning. Like he's a rat,
Hmm.
and then ratatouille is actually like a
He's a
real dish.
rat making ratatouille.
Do you get it?
Genius. I'll have to look it up later.
Another one, maybe a top five maybe even more than that, most iconic food scenes of all time. The spaghetti scene in Lady and the Tramp.
100%. I mean, it ties in. I mean, three really great things: love, dogs, and spaghetti or food.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's pretty much a perfect scene. Maybe
Yeah, it
you
really
could
is.
argue
And
that.
I hadn't seen the live action one yet. I know it came on Disney Plus a few years ago, but I don't envy them trying to, because you obviously have to recreate it.
Yeah,
And I mean,
it's
it's a
probably
scene
just
that
it's
everyone
probably just not going to play off as well. But yeah, that's one of those famous pop culture ones. I mean, just everyone knows that scene.
yeah.
It's so
And
high up there.
and that meatball looks so good.
Another one, and even it's a cartoon, but you still feel like you can taste that meatball.
I want to taste that meatball. The flip side of spaghetti, the disgusting spaghetti scene in Elf, where Will Ferrell, I believe I read he actually threw up from having to eat that. Like the syrup
Yeah,
and all that shit on the spaghetti.
yeah. We've talked about this off pod just amongst ourselves before, but getting older and saying things are sometimes too sweet. And as I get older, looking at this scene just like makes me gag, as
Yeah.
sweet as all that would be.
I don't. Yeah, the comedic effect of it now is outweighed by how like it makes my stomach churn.
Yeah, yeah. It would not settle well.
Another one. This is more just like the ambiance, but Jackrabbit Slims from Pulp Fiction. That scene always makes me want a milkshake.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I'm sure the food is great. The other food that is there, but yeah, a milkshake would be the one thing I would want from there. Um, and yeah, outside of the food, it's just a part of the movie. Maybe the most iconic scene from that movie.
Yeah, I'd say it's really where the movie like really picks up its momentum.
Oh, because
Like that,
someone almost dies.
right? That night shit just goes from 6 to midnight.
Yeah, yeah,
And
but
I
really,
love a good themed diner.
yes, yeah, a good themed diner. Um, really fun interactions between Travolta and Thurman.
Mm-hmm.
Um, get some funny, maybe impromptu dancing out there, but
And a sexual tension where the whole time the audience is like, please don't.
don't do it.
Don't do it, bro.
You'll regret it. You don't want that.
Yeah. I don't want to see what's going to happen to you if you do. Another one that I actually hadn't seen personally, but every list I had included this, and I wanted to bring it up because it's very bro. But if you look it up, from Saturday Night Fever, apparently there's a scene also starring John Travolta where his character buys 2 slices of pizza, stacks them on top of each other, and then folds them and eats them.
Well, we're in the same boat. I have never seen this as well, but that has taken pizza to a new level. I've seen the fold. I've done the fold.
Yeah.
Depending on the pizza, if I'm mobile, then I want to be able to eat that on the move.
If we're in transit.
But the double stack fold, so like you get like 4 layers when you bite into it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think if you Google it, people were just going crazy at the time, when he did it.
That's crazy because when that movie came out, like the
70s,
80s,
right?
70s.
Yeah, I think it was before Grease, actually.
Yeah. So
Or maybe right after, I'm not sure.
I'm surprised that hasn't been like put in as like another movie trope in other places that I've seen. Being such from an iconic movie from that time and having such a big movie star in it.
I don't know if I would try it, though, because I feel like I'm not appreciating the slices, you know? I like to really enjoy my pizza.
Yeah, at that point, you're kind of just gorging yourself.
Which I'm not opposed to gluttony.
I've been there. Yeah.
I will be there again soon. Another one I really just want to ask if you've ever tried this, but of course it is iconic as well. I'd put it right up there with Lady and the Tramp, and that's Rocky Balboa consuming raw eggs as part of his workout. Have you ever dared try this? I have not.
No, and I don't know if it's a trope. I mean, they have it in Beauty and the Beast as well. Gaston eating
Oh, that's right.
3 dozen eggs.
Yeah, Gaston's cholesterol is through the fucking roof.
It's probably not
what
great. No, he's just eating that and deer meat and elk, and drinking beer all the time. So it's he probably has some health concerns that they haven't realized at this point in time in France. But
he's gonna die at 37, which actually, in France at the time might be old age.
Yeah, it's definitely going to catch up to him. I don't know if this is kind of just like a tropey thing at this point, or if there actually is like some benefit to eating raw eggs. I don't get it.
I believe I've looked it up, and I mean, I can't imagine that form of consumption would help you any more than just cooking them and eating them.
Well, you're not supposed to. I thought consuming raw eggs was bad for you as well.
Right. So I don't really.
That's why they say don't eat cookie dough, like raw cookie dough, because there's eggs in it. But no one obeys that, and no one's died. So I don't think.
Yeah, the fact they even have the balls to put that on the cookie dough package, just like, bro.
And now they just sell cookie dough that you're supposed to eat cold as cookie dough.
Doesn't make any fucking sense. Last one, I wanted to get your take on this. I know you're very into traveling, very into trying exotic foods. In Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, the iconic scene where they have the snakes for dinner, and of course they cut open the snake and find all the little baby snakes slithering. Snakes personally creep me out. I'm not going to act like in the right circumstance I wouldn't try them as a delicacy in the right situation. But the scene in the movie, obviously, it's meant to creep you the fuck out. I'm with Indy. I would try them there. Would you ever try something like snake?
That is tough, because I always want to say I'll try different foods. Snakes, that may be like my one phobia is snakes. Like straight up, like
the way they move, I just don't fucking trust it.
I don't like Miss Thurman makes fun of me all the time because I don't even like seeing them on TV. I don't like seeing them in movies. I don't like seeing pictures of them. It freaks me out. It's that bad. Yeah. I don't know if I could stomach eating a snake, when it was a snake, just because my phobia is like so high.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, it's been too long since I've seen in Temple of Doom, but I believe in the scene it's like an anaconda that they cut open and it reveals the still alive babies.
That sounds right. I know it's like a larger species of snake, so I think you're right on that.
Is that the same scene where he's offered monkey brains?
That's tough. I'm in the same boat. I haven't seen this in a while. I mean, it would make sense unless they kind of just go through the movies and make him eat weird things from time to time. I can't remember exactly. Yeah,
so snakes, I believe Indy, maybe he ends up eating them. I can't remember. A lot of that movie is him overcoming his fear, so perhaps he does.
But yeah, snakes, I'm unfortunately probably out.
All right, food in movies. Before we move on, Nate, obviously two of your favorite things. What about these scenes do you think makes them so memorable for you? Is it where you were at the time, the sort of visceral feel of food in movies, or is it anything like specific to humor, maybe with I Love You Man more so than the others?
Yeah, I mean, with all these, it's kind of a different mix of why these mean so much. Harry Potter, just growing up, watching the movie, reading the books first and then watching the movies, I was just so invested, and then tie-in food with that, I'm going to love it. So the main part, the main tie-in for food in Harry Potter is going to be a huge attraction for me. Yeah, I Love You Man. It's kind of a mix of knowing like, oh, this is a real place. These fish tacos are real. It's kind of that allure now. Like, this is something attainable for me. And yeah, it's just fucking Jason Segel and Paul Rudd just riffing on each other the whole time. And but the basis of it is like, he goes there because of the fish tacos. They leave. Paul Rudd is over the moon because of the tacos. Like, it continues to the whole thing. It's not just a small part of that scene. It is the whole scene, and it continues even further than that. Yeah, that's true. So it makes you believe it a little more. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that also kind of contribute.
Fish tacos are just so bro.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that is like a very bro lunch or dinner to get.
Yeah, I'll take the fish tacos, bro.
Now I want some fish tacos. All right. The second part of our show is our protein shake, where we go around and talk about what's in our cup, also known as what have we watched lately. I know for sure we've seen one thing together. It's currently airing. If we want to briefly talk about it,
We'll touch on it. I was planning on touching on it without giving too many spoilers.
Yeah. Because we are going to do, I think, just a full review when it's all over on one of our episodes. And then I've seen 4 other things. So I don't know how many you have, but we can go back and forth.
Yeah, let's do that. I've got about the same amount.
All right. Why don't you start us off? What's in your cup?
So you want to leave the crossover for last?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay. So this will be short because I've only seen one episode of it so far. I'll just kind of briefly touch on it. But Stranger Things season 4, episode 1. Man, they're getting dark.
Is this supposed to be the final season? I know they're dropping it in 2 parts.
I think so.
Okay.
This first episode, I mean, I'm going to say it gets well into the horror genre.
Interesting.
Like, it was, obviously you had some scary scenes when it first came out. It was kind of geared maybe more towards a younger audience. They surpassed that in this. Opening scene, I won't give any spoilers away, but opening scene, pretty disturbing. And then just throughout it, there's frightening scenes. There's times where I felt mildly uncomfortable. I don't like horror anyway. But first episode was great though. And I know Stephen King was just on Twitter like yesterday or the day before saying like, oh, this is like the greatest season. So like if that tells you anything, kind of the direction they're going, Stephen King loves it.
Are they doing because kind of the template for Harry Potter, which I loved, was like as the kids grew up and progressed through the story, so inherently would the subject matter sort of mature with them. Do you feel like that's kind of what they're doing with the show, or is it just like it's the last season, got to pull out all the stops?
I think it's a little bit of both, but definitely I see that with like the kind of the same Harry Potter style, getting a little darker as the audience gets a little older. But yeah, interested. There's one thing that they're going kind of a certain direction with a character we're not too familiar with, but it's kind of opening up some things in the past with a little twist. But I'm excited. I'm excited for this one. It's getting dark and disturbing for sure.
I believe the second part drops in July, so I actually think I might catch up before that happens. Because it's only 3 seasons, right?
Yeah.
Should be
3. Mm-hmm.
Should be able to pull that off.
Yeah.
I watched the original Top Gun in preparation for Top Gun Maverick, which I'll talk about in a second.
Oh, gee. I need to go do the same thing before I watch the new one.
Yeah, it'd been a while, and like obviously I've seen it several times, but I was thinking, like you were sort of alluding to, before I go watch the new one, might as well just refresh myself in case they make any references or they try to pull on any emotional threads that I just want to make sure they're attached to something.
Yeah.
This is streaming on Paramount Plus currently, if anyone has that. And I have to say, man, the soundtrack and the score to this are more awesome than I even remember. I cannot imagine it being the summer of 1986 and you go to the movie theater and don't know what's about to hit you and fucking Highway to the Danger Zone comes out. I mean, Jesus Christ. We would have been doing fucking beer bongs in the stairwell. Like, just
I can only imagine.
And then Tom Cruise fucking shows up with a jean jacket and a leather jacket and his fucking motorcycle. It's like, what are we doing here? This is incredible.
Yeah, I get kind of jealous, especially specifically for like the OG Star Wars trilogy, and because I think Top Gun kind of falls into the same category. It's such a iconic pop culture phenomenon. Like growing up, even before we saw it, we knew about it. We saw scenes, we saw clips and things like that. But like going to the movie theater for the first time, like in that time period in the 80s and like seeing that shit, like it must have been like so mind-blowing. Must have been fucking awesome. Like, I mean, there's no way
you could have known it's gonna be like this big of a pillar in pop culture, but you must have known, like, dude, we just saw something pretty fucking special right there.
Yeah.
The movie itself is good. I mean, it's not like an incredible movie, I would say. I'll actually get into this in a second with the sequel, but its impact on not only cinema but like fashion and music, it's it's not even debatable. It's pretty profound. And so going back to revisit it, that it's just a really fun bro summer movie that is still a blast today. Like it's actually not like cringeworthy when you go back and rewatch it. Everything in it is well made enough, and enough care and effort is put into it to where you're like, this is just a fun, good film.
Yeah, it's on Paramount Plus. I'm gonna go back and watch that.
Yeah, and I actually watched it, and pretty vain of me, but I listened to it with the movie commentary that we currently have up.
Nice.
That Brian Banner and Matt Geiger did.
Like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Or 3 years ago.
It was 3 years ago. It was it was late 2018, and because the first teaser had just dropped.
Wow, that's crazy.
The other problem with it though is I didn't realize that I was listening to it on Apple Podcasts. I didn't realize that my Apple Podcast was set to 1.25 speed.
Oh wow!
So I kept being like, why are they getting so far ahead of me?
So like 1.25, like you could not even like tell at that.
Yeah,
point.
but it is nice because like you can still hear everything people say on that speed, but like you get through your podcast a little bit quicker, you know. Which is nice.
That's nice.
But they kept referencing a scene. I was like, I'm not quite there yet. What the fuck?
Almost.
And when I realized it, I was like, you're a dumbass, Jeff.
Ah, damn it. That's funny.
I'll just mention this next one because it ties in perfectly. But I then went to go see Top Gun Maverick in theaters, which I actually need to show you. They gave me. Oh,
you told me they got a poster?
Yeah, a promo poster that's badass,
Nice.
and then like a little pin that I guess like a pilot would pin to his jacket.
Oh, is it like the wings?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Which like okay, you had already won me over going in.
All right, you put me back to a 10-year-old. I love it.
And it's getting great reviews. And I got to say, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Like
that's good to hear. Yeah,
such a fucking blast. I think you get 5 stars on Letterboxd. It's already nominated for Bros Best Picture in the Oscars next year. The plot is really smart and actually involves a legitimate mission, and I think everything in it kind of makes sense as far as how they get Maverick back to the Academy.
Yeah,
they do a great job tying into like the legacy characters. There's some cool relationship stuff with some new characters. I mean, everything in it worked for me. And normally when these movies take, like we talked about it with Dumb and Dumber 2, and I think a few others where it takes like 15 or 20 plus years to make the sequel, you're just like, I don't know, man, is the magic gone?
Yeah.
What are we doing here? With this one, I actually think Top Gun Maverick is it's a superior movie to Top Gun.
Wow.
And I don't really think it's that close, but Top Gun has the advantage of it just changed film and pop culture. So it gets sort of.
Yeah. Even before you saw it, saw a ton of reviews coming out from, I mean, people who saw it before it actually released in theaters. But man, I was kind of skeptical about the rave reviews, but now friends going to see it and everything, and like it's still holding up. So I know the wife was actually wanting to see this too, so we'll probably see it sometime this week. So really excited to go watch it.
Go see it on a screen. I went to the Dolby Cinema at AMC because they have like the insane audio, which was pretty sick. Like as their pilots are maneuvering and stuff, it sounds
nice. Sweet. Can't
wait.
Definitely
one obviously you want to see in theaters. I'm sure this will be on Paramount Plus too at some point later this summer, but
I'm sure.
The big screen treatment.
Yeah.
All right, what else you
got? After you mentioned it on I guess it was just your protein shake last week or whenever it was. Went back and rewatched because I've only seen it once before. Crazy Stupid Love.
So good.
Yeah, it was good. It was very enjoyable. I mean, I forgot so much of it just because I hadn't seen it in a while. But yeah, love the small little twist where Gosling is actually dating Steve Carell's daughter. That added for a nice little mix.
That scene is just perfectly put together. Everybody shows up and you're like,
why are you here?
What the hell's he doing here? David Lindhagen? He takes his ring off. When David Lindhagen shows up, you're just like, oh shit. Hey, you left your sweater in my car.
And yeah, Gosling's character is the first one to go after him. Like, not Carell's comes over afterwards, but like immediately he's just like so pissed at what Lindhagen did to Steve Carell's character. He's like, no, fuck this.
I love when they're at the bar and he's like, my wife cheated on me with. And he goes, David Lindhagen? Yeah, I know. The whole bar knows because you've been talking about it for 2 straight nights.
How do you know how I know that? That's all you've been saying.
How would I know something so deeply personal about your life?
But yeah, it's nice. It's compact. It's easy to follow through, but it has I don't know if it's like predictable character arcs, but they're nice character arcs. I like where they go. I like obviously Steve Carell's character and then Ryan Gosling's character where they start from, where they go, and where they kind of end up. So it was just a nice, lovely movie.
Now obviously we talked about it's in my top 100. I've not gotten to it yet. It's very high. The only thing that I don't like in the movie is his son's character arc.
Yeah, I agree. I can get on board with that. Yeah.
Everything else is great. And Marissa Tomei is so fucking hilarious.
She God, the weird aspect of her getting turned on by him telling her the truth.
Yeah.
It's like such a weird trope to throw in there.
When they go to the parent-teacher conferences and Julianne Moore goes, "What's going on?" and he leans in and goes, "She's an alcoholic."
She's an alcoholic.
She just loses it.
He just pulls that out of his back pocket. He's like, "Well, I know this about her." She
what can
used
I
to be an alcoholic.
weaponize against her? Yeah, I'm going to buy you a drink. Can I get you anything? Nope. No. Go away forever.
Yes, his early attempts at hitting on girls is
I have
fantastic.
on. I have a shirt, a vest, a jacket.
It's just sweat. From here down is sweat.
Trapped, and it's trapped in. Great movie. David Lindhagen too. Also incredible name.
Yes. Nice little surprise appearance.
And Kevin Bacon is that perfect combination of like, I should hate you, but you're so goddamn endearing.
As we were watching this, Miss Thurman always has some interesting quotes. She realized it was Kevin Bacon, and she's like, he has such a Kevin Bacon face. I'm like, well, it's him. So
that would explain him being Kevin Bacon.
You nailed it.
I think Tony Hawk always tweets people like, "Did people ever tell you look like Tony Hawk?" And he goes, "All the time."
All the time. Yeah, his tweets are great when people kind of recognize him.
Yeah,
but not really.
Not enough to like be like, "You're Tony Hawk, aren't you?"
That's good stuff.
All right, I saw the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Had a buddy at work telling me about this, and I only remember that because the title was very confusing, and that title you just said was really confusing.
So saw this one in theaters. It's been getting rave reviews. It's an A24 film starring Michelle Yeoh that is basically a multiverse movie about a small business owner and her family who go to the IRS office to meet with Jamie Lee Curtis because they have some issues with their, I guess, tax return that they submitted as a small business.
Yeah.
And some things ensue, and Michelle Yeoh's character gets taken into the multiverse, and craziness occurs.
I did not know this was an A24.
Yeah, which is, I think, definitely part of the appeal. And I got to say, this movie is really resonating with a lot of people. People are saying it's like one of their top 3 movies of all time. Nothing in this worked for me at all.
Really?
One of the most painfully unfunny movies I've ever seen.
Wait, was it supposed to be funny?
I mean, there are some insane attempts at humor in this, like wild, off the wall, almost like Burger King commercial type humor.
Because like hearing about this, I like I said, I heard one guy talk about it. I don't know much about this. I don't know if it's drama, comedy. I don't know what like the genre is.
I would say it's science fiction, comedy, drama. None of it worked. Way too wacky and out there for me. And when it tries to be emotional, it's doesn't put in that effort to earn anything. It goes for like over the top visuals that just almost walked out of the theater twice. And maybe I know this has worked for a lot of people. It's creative, I'll give it that, but God, I was miserable.
So I haven't seen too many A24 movies. I was just pulling some up. Actually, I've seen a few more than I thought. Maybe the first miss, in your opinion, for them that you've seen?
That I've seen, yeah. I didn't see The Green Knight, that Dev Patel movie, which I know some people were.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
But I've seen Hereditary, Midsommar, and X, which I actually liked all 3 of those quite a bit.
Lady Bird apparently is one.
Oh yeah, I love Lady Bird.
Yeah, Lady Bird was good. I know Cyclius said this one, and I watched it after he recommended. But The Lighthouse, would recommend that one.
I have not.
It's weird, weird as shit, but I liked it.
But again, so I'm complaining I didn't like this movie. We need A24 because they're making shit that no one else has the balls to make, and I don't want
True.
that to stop. So this is
Yeah.
again not a hit for me at all. I thoroughly hated it, but there's still like 4 of 5 from what I've seen. So keep at it. They're not all going to be hits. For those people who enjoyed Everything Everywhere All at Once, I'm very happy for you. I don't ever want anyone to dislike their time at the movies. But for me, this was utterly miserable. I always reference, damn it, I just closed it out. But my top 100 movies, my top 100 movies list of all time. I think you've done yours the same way, Nate. We basically put together a spreadsheet as we've seen, every movie in our life. And so we essentially have like a ranking 1 through, whatever the bottom one would be. And okay, now mine loaded. Let me tell you where Everything Everywhere All at Once ranked. If fucking Google Spreadsheets will load.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I'll add some filler because I was just looking up A24 and just seeing kind of their catalog of work. Didn't know Euphoria. They're involved at least in season 2. They have listed here.
Interesting. I didn't know they did any TV at all.
Yeah, they've got that. They've got some other stuff I haven't heard of, but yeah, Euphoria, which it's weird, so it fits in with what they're doing. It's kind of out there, kind of taboo.
So Everything Everywhere All at Once. 1,049 out of 1,098.
Not great.
It's just ahead of The Hangover Part 2.
Okay. All right.
So.
Well, better luck next time.
But again, that's okay. A lot of people love this movie. That's awesome. Just didn't work.
That is true. To each their own.
Yep. All right, I only have one more thing that we didn't share, so why don't you just empty out yours?
Okay, I'll run through. Yeah, I just have 2 more left, and then our crossover. So I'll kind of empty these out real quick. This isn't a one that you go back to and watch very often because it's long as fuck. But I actually think I talked to you about this over the weekend. Me and the wife went back and watched Titanic.
Oh, yeah.
I know it does get. I mean, there's some parts of the movie that get some criticism and things, but overall, I still really enjoy this movie. It gives you a nice mix of historical accurate events and kind of some things when it came out that were developing, like then people actually going down and looking at the Titanic and having technology good enough to get down to that depth of the ocean. And that's always intrigued me, and I love seeing the actual photos and actual videos of that kind of stuff. And then the story is just great. You get a young Leonardo DiCaprio with Kate Winslet, both young, earlier in their careers, youthful, energetic, good. I think it's a good love story. It's kind of interesting since it's so compact and has to be fit within 48 hours or whatever.
Right.
But I think they do a good job of that and filling that in there.
Sex symbol Billy Zane, obviously.
Sex symbol Billy Zane. He's an asshole in this one, but sometimes you got to be an asshole. It's a different time.
Commentary. We remember him. We kept like making up quotes he probably had at the time. He's like, guys, not only am I always going to be on top of Hollywood, I'm never going to go bald. That's a weird thing to say, but okay.
Yeah, 2 things you can guarantee you, just like tax and death.
Take them, to the fucking bank right now.
Take to the bank right now. And then this scene is still weird. She kind of just lets him go. I think there's room on the plank that she's floating on, the door or whatever, but
clearly, yeah.
Whatever.
I just think was worried they were moving too fast. So he's like, you know what? I'll just die in the Atlantic Ocean. It's fine.
Yeah, he's like, I'll take one for the team. But yeah, the scenes in this and the background behind like how they shot these and like these big ass like water tanks inside these buildings and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And just knowing like the behind the scenes stuff that went into the movie. James Cameron is known for big budget going a little over the top. But
were you on the episode when Cycli told the story about how the cast and crew was poisoned?
That sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't know if I was on the episode.
So they've never actually pinpointed who, but they believe it was someone who was fired from the crew.
Oh, wow.
But it was not a day that Leonardo DiCaprio, I think they were filming the like contemporary stuff where like the crew actually goes and explores like the wreckage.
Mm-hmm.
So it was that crew or that cast. It was like Bill Paxton and those
Bill
guys.
Paxton. Yeah.
But someone had poisoned the catering that they had.
Oh damn!
Like laced it with acid, and like
Holy shit!
People ended up in the hospital tripping balls.
Yeah, that'd be a little freaky. Not knowing it's coming, and just all of a sudden you're on a different planet.
Yeah, and there's some like kind of wild stories from while they were in the hospital, like people doing things, but just a wild. The whole film, everything about it is just like iconic and so controversial in Hollywood.
Yeah, production is great. Did a really good job, and I just like something that's fairly historically accurate, and I think for the most part it is.
Also, let's talk about what's really important. Possibly the first boobs I ever saw on screen.
So funny you mentioned that, and there's a fun. I don't know if it's a fun background story, but whenever this first came out, I remember me and my mom went to go to the movie theater, and we ended up seeing a different movie because I heard this was kind of scary, and I was like 9, and so like
you pulled the plug.
A boat sinking and like that caused me like stress, I think. But my mom went to go see it. I don't think she knew there were boobs in it at the time, and I always regret that now.
Well, I don't know how they got away with it, but it is rated PG-13, and there's full frontal nudity. I mean, 100%. I guess not full frontal, but yeah, I mean, someone bribed someone at the MPAA, and it was a game changer for us as kids.
Yeah. So it delayed me seeing those boobs for a while, and I always look back on that. I can't even remember what movie we ended up seeing, but
didn't have boobs in it.
Damn it.
Because not only do you see her like naked as he's painting her, but then they keep showing the painting.
The painting. And like 10, 11-year-old me, that's plenty.
Oh, trust me.
That's more than enough. Yeah. That's more than enough.
Yeah, and like by the time it shows up your mom, it's too late. She can't have covered your eyes. You saw some nipple at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's just a little background story.
Check out our movie commentary on Titanic. Long, of course, but one of my favorites that we've done.
Yeah. The last thing I will move on to is I may have mentioned this on another pod, but watching The Wire, the HBO series, for the first time.
Oh yeah.
So I'm into season 2. I'm really enjoying it. You kind of kind of like The Sopranos too. If you go back and watch that. You kind of got to get in the mindset of like the technology at the time. They use a lot of payphones and that kind of stuff. Honestly, whenever people have like suggested me watching this and be like, "How you got to kind of take some liberties with this," I don't think it like puts me out of it much. I just can accept like that's the time and that's what they're using pagers and payphones and all that kind of stuff. So,
the really show, great. I've only heard good things about it.
Yep.
It like was. I don't know where it falls in like the pantheon of HBO series, but it was kind of at that time where, and I guess we're still sort of living there just with less quantity, but this is when HBO could do no wrong on TV. Sex and the City, Sopranos, The Wire, Oz, like get out of their way.
Yeah. And the funny thing, this is the thing I'll leave with, I won't get too much into the show, but there have been, it's funny watching this old show. I haven't seen it before, and now seeing like GIFs that I use on probably a daily basis. Like I'm like, oh, that's where it came from. I'm gonna paste one of them here in the chat. Actually, I'm gonna paste 2. There's one, and this is Weebay from the show for anyone who's watched it.
Click the.
That is one, and I've seen that a million times. And then this is the second one.
Oh, that's from The Wire?
Yeah, that's from The Wire. And then this one as well, which I started using this one quite a bit too. And it's just kind of like a shrug off, like, whatever. But it's Weebay as well when he's being interrogated. But 2 good GIFs I got from The Wire.
Yeah, that first one is like probably one of the top 5 most used.
See that used all the time. But yeah, it's funny going back and like seeing their origin.
It's crazy how if you become a GIF, you're immortalized. Like that's
yeah. You've stamped your place in history.
You're there forever.
But that's it.
So
for me.
How far into The Wire are you right now?
Season 2. Just crossed over to season 2. I think there's 5 seasons total. So season 2, like episode 2.
Interesting. We know how that ends. It's always fun to go back and revisit a show that you just always like. I never saw Lost, so even though like I've heard kind of about what happens,
Yeah.
like getting to go revisit it for me for the first time, like 20 years after the fact, is something I'm kind of looking forward to at some point.
Yeah. No,
I think
it'll
it's
be fun.
Hulu. Lost is.
Last thing.
Yeah, last thing I saw before we get our crossover, I actually just before we potted tonight finished this, but I watched Morbius, the Jared Leto.
Wait, for the first time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I've
Have
heard
you
it's
seen
shit.
it?
No, I've heard it's shit.
It's pretty bad.
Okay.
There's some really interesting visuals in it though. Like I actually love the look of Morbius. And there's like some pretty graphic kills in this thing. But at the end of the day, it's just like so unoriginal and cliche, and like
Really?
you can predict everything within the first 5 minutes. Like when they introduce any character, you can already tell what their fate is going to be. And it's very ambitious, tries to set up a couple different ideas for sequels. But I think the thing that had me most intrigued about this, and it definitely did not let me down, was the mid-credit scene to it. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. There's no way that what Morbius is trying to tell you they're going to do next, there's no way they'll be able to do it. Let me put it that way. Number one, based on an actor who shows up in it, and number two, it just doesn't make sense. So
Okay.
So I thought it was pretty funny.
I'll have to give this a go at some point. Just it being a Marvel installation, so
yeah, it's pretty short. And then I'm trying to. I think his name's Matt Smith, maybe Ben Smith. I can't remember.
Milo, yeah, Matt Smith. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, Matt Smith. He's actually really good in it. Like he's a fun foil to Jared Leto's Morbius.
Okay.
And then if you want to see Tyrese scowling at the camera a lot, he does that in I think every scene that he's in.
It seems like he may have practiced it a lot.
He brought the scowl game for sure.
All right, good for him.
I think I give it a 2 out of 5 on Letterboxd. So
yeah,
didn't hate. Definitely wasn't great.
I'll give it a go sometime.
Not bad enough to be nominated for Can I Speak to Your Manager award at the Oscars, but not good. All right, last thing, Nate. As we are recording here, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney Plus is 3 episodes in. I believe as this drops, the 4th episode will have just been released. And like we said, we're planning on doing our full spoilers review when everything is dropped, just sort of as a chest day, I think, on one of our episodes. So
yeah,
we won't get too deep into the weeds, but just your initial thoughts on this show so far. We've obviously been anticipating this even before it was announced, right? Like people have been clamoring for some way to return Ewan McGregor to this role and tell more Obi-Wan stories. And we've obviously loved The Mandalorian, and I know Boba Fett was kind of an up and down roller coaster for a lot of fans, but what have you thought so far now that we're somehow halfway through Obi-Wan already?
Man, it's off to a great start. And out of any of the series, maybe just any of the Disney Plus series that we watched so far, and since Disney Plus has come out, they've dropped fucking between Star Wars and Marvel, just say, what, they dropped like 5 or 6 of them, something like 7, maybe.
Oh yeah, at least
quite a few. This has been the one, obviously super highly anticipated. It's held up through the first 3, and it's staying super consistent to keep my expectations up. And I know there's been some other series that have come out and said, I don't know exactly where this is going. I like it. It has potential, blah, blah, blah. And we're kind of like justifying some of the things we don't necessarily like in it. This one, I love it. Through 3 episodes, there really haven't been too many complaints, and I love the direction it's going. I know, Horns, you brought this up whenever the first 2 episodes dropped, but it goes in a different direction than we thought. But it's fantastic, and I love the direction they're going.
Yeah, I would not have ever predicted really the plot device here that they use, and it's great. Although there is, we'll get into this on the review, I believe there is a line in one of the original Star Wars that is directly in contradiction with what happens in here. We can talk about it off pod.
Yeah, I've actually I've been meaning to go back and
fine.
Research that, but we'll see.
It's fine. But dude, I'm loving it. Obi-Wan Kenobi, like where he's at in his character's arc and sort of some of the revelations he has. We've been keeping up with him since the prequels. it's just so much fun to see Ewan McGregor back in this role. I still feel I've been blown away through the first 3 episodes. Each one has, I think, progressively gotten better and more awesome to me, and I still feel like the best is yet to come for this show.
Yeah.
One thing that and I think it's a product of the generation you and I are in, but as time has gone on, I have really come to find the prequels endearing. And I think so has the Star Wars community, I feel like. I mean, Hayden Christensen, who very unfairly and unjustly, but was once basically a pariah because of, his quote unquote portrayal of Anakin, even though I think it was dialogue more than anything that he had no control over. And was basically like shunned from the Star Wars community. Him coming back to this role and seeing the reception he got at Star Wars Celebration was basically melted my heart. And I'm so glad that he gets to reprise this role and that he wanted to, and that fans have basically like done what we can do to apologize and be like, hey, we're sorry we were such fucking assholes. We were just mad initially with those movies. But now they're not great films by any stretch of the imagination, but they have a place in my heart, I feel like.
Yeah, it's been interesting the past couple years seeing the come around from fans, and yeah, justifiably so. I mean, okay, maybe the dialogue wasn't great, maybe the portrayal wasn't great, but like it adds to the story. You get a lot of background, and there's a place for those prequels when they came out, and yeah, really happy to see the fans kind of rallying around Hayden Christensen at this point. So hopefully he can. I was going to say something, but I don't want to spoil anything since we're mid-season. Yeah. So just over one of the things that I will touch on, and I've said this to all the bros like off pod and everything. And dang, I don't have her name up right now, but dang, I can't say it. Never mind.
Can't even say that.
God damn it.
Although your friend Tyler would.
Oh yeah, we have a friend
who
it
7 minutes.
Us at 7 minutes after midnight whenever it came out and said something, and
a massive spoiler.
Yeah, there's a new actress introduced, and I really like her character and I like her acting. She's doing a great job. I'll just say that.
An incredible job. Yeah,
incredible job.
I actually saw it today. I won't spoil obviously the name of the character, but it says "Move over, Grogu," because now it's so and so's time.
Yeah. And like, yeah, I was gonna say something else, but I can't even like describe why. One of the main points why I like her character, but most of you out there have probably seen a couple episodes at this point, but we won't spoil and we'll leave that to the end because there'll be plenty to talk about. But one of the other interesting things I will touch on before we move on is Obi-Wan is in a different state that we've never seen him be in, like completely different mindset. Like it's almost unnerving.
He's damaged. Yeah.
Yeah. He is damaged, and it's interesting to see him. And kudos to Ewan McGregor because he's making me feel it, and he's making me a little uneasy, like the way his character is acting, because it's so different than any reprisal we've seen of him so far, or even like Obi-Wan's character in like Clone Wars or anything else. There's a lack of confidence, I'll say, that had been there in the past,
and like I guess that would kind of spoil some things too, but
I know it's like tough tiptoeing around.
it's a new. There's a lot as an actor. If I'm him, there's a lot there to chew on, and he's not reprising an Obi-Wan who's like, well, we lost the Clone Wars. Fuck it. Like he's dealing with some shit, and it's making for a very interesting watch.
Yeah.
Plus, I just think every ancillary character in this show, I'm digging.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got a lot of characters kind of on the fringe that are really adding to the story. Obviously, there's one main focus, but the people they brought in and even some newer characters into episode 3 are great. But just overall, 1 through 3 out of all the series that have come on Disney Plus, highest expectations, and it's held up the best out of any of them so far.
Yep, I agree. All right. Brian is not here to make the bird squawking noise to introduce our last segment of the show, but it is our Do You Even Lift Bruh segment, which is the question and answer segment on the podcast where we ask a question that we discuss and then leave you with at home. Today, we're continuing our countdown of each of the Bros' top 100 movies of all time, our personally curated lists of our favorite 100 films of all time. And Nate, as always, in case someone's joining us for the first time or in case they just need a refresher, how would you describe, welcome. How would you describe each of these lists? Because as we always say, it's not the IMDb top 100. It's not Roger Ebert's top 100 films of all time.
No, these are personal to each bro. So even amongst the five of us on the pod, they're going to differ widely, which Horns can probably point out with the list, just comparing someone's 75th to someone else's 75th or something like that. But these may have special moment, may have brought to us in a special moment in our life. So they may mean something different to each one of us. But it's our list, so we may have some that may be critically acclaimed and then an animated movie that only 10 people have seen, but it means something to us. So it's going to be all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, Banners is always like the one, because Banner, and we love him for it. I wouldn't change it for the world, but he has at least the most balls when it comes to like putting together his list. Like if he likes a movie, he's unabashed about it. He'll just put it in there. But for example, Banner had he had Jumanji on his list, but not the Robin Williams one. Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. And then Nate Thurman, for example, has The Great Dictator from 1940 somewhere in his list. So,
yeah, which I'm sure a lot of people haven't seen. Charlie Chaplin, go see it. It's fantastic.
I'm trying to find where Jumanji. Oh, yeah. Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle was number 98 on Brian's list.
98. Just cracked it.
Still counts, as Akon would say. All right, Nate, you're up. You left off with your number 71 film of all time, which is one that, spoiler alert, will be appearing somewhere on my list. And it was the 2018 revelation of a film, Avengers: Infinity War. That was your number 71. What is your number 70 movie of all time? We're getting into top 70. I mean, none of these are a fucking joke because, to make these lists is a big deal. But top 70, man, it's pretty serious.
Yeah. So this is probably one of the more underrated Westerns that I know of. But it corrects my top 100. And I'll just go ahead and jump into it. But The Quick and the Dead, which is a 1995 film with Leo DiCaprio, Gene Hackman, Russell Crowe, Sharon Stone.
I have never heard of this movie.
I know.
Fuck?
It's
this
crazy.
Cast is awesome.
I know, it's crazy how underrated this is and how big the cast is. You get a Leo DiCaprio before Titanic in 1995. But I mean, just a classic Western. The premise is they're having basically a quick draw competition in this town. Are we okay giving spoilers on a 1995 movie?
I think so, but if you don't want the quick and the dead.
Since it is so well unknown, I think a lot of people can go back and watch it. But there's a kind of a good twist coming into this, dealing with Sharon Stone's character. But going back to the basic premise, they have a quick draw competition. So, yeah, they basically just go out in the middle of the street. It's kind of like an NCAA bracket. You're going up against you and you. All right, shoot them up and see who comes out of it. It starts off as whoever hits the guy, and then it quickly becomes through Gene Hackman's rule because I believe he's the mayor in the movie.
And sorry, what time period does this take place in?
I mean, it's probably like the 1880s, something like that. Okay. If I had to guess, I mean, just classic Wild Wild West. Then he makes it to where you have to kill the person, so first person to die. But man,
Tobin Bell is in it, who plays Jigsaw. Movies.
Some good stuff.
And Gary Sinise.
Yeah, a very young looking Russell Crowe in this one as well. Back in 1995.
How the fuck have I never seen this?
And this is one I think this kind of contributes to it, but I'll still go back and watch this. It's still, I think, a fantastic Western. It was on a lot like TNT. It was one of those classic ones that was on TNT, TBS a lot like growing up. So when it was on, my dad was big into Westerns, loved John Wayne, read a lot of Western novels. So it was one that he liked. It would be on, we'd turn it on. So it'd be one that I watched a ton growing up. So
Yeah.
like I said, kind of prefacing into this top 100, it means something to me. It has a little special place in my heart, maybe a little closer than a lot of other people, and that's why it's like an underrated Western. Maybe I'm blinded, and it's not the greatest Western, but it makes my top 100.
I don't know that cast.
I love it.
It's crazy how as kids, dude, we could watch the same movie like 10 fucking times.
Oh yeah.
Know every beat. This is on Netflix right now. I'm definitely gonna have to check this out.
There it is. Anyone out there hasn't seen it, go watch it. It's got a 6.5 on IMDb, so kind of middle of the road from the rating standpoint, but I think it holds up. It's a pretty solid one.
This is like Sharon Stone's sex symbol, Sharon Stone too.
Yeah, I kind of played down since she's kind of a gunslinger in the Wild West, but still gets it done for me.
Nice.
And also, the one thing I will leave everyone with on this, director, Sam Raimi.
What?
Yeah. How about
Jesus.
that? How
You're
about
checking
that?
all the boxes right now.
Yeah, I was
My
like,
God.
oh, wait, hold on. I had one more note I wanted to add in there. Sam Raimi.
Let me look up the runtime of this thing and
Hour 48.
oh Jesus. I mean, we're sold. It got me under 2 hours also.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
There it is. Number 70, Quick and Dead.
My number 70 is the movie that I led off this show with a quote from, and that is the 2018 version of A Star is Born, starring Bradley Cooper, Lady Gaga, as I believe Zach Galifianakis would say, and I believe
Lady
yes,
Gaga,
directed
yes.
by Bradley Cooper. Directed by Bradley Cooper as well. I mean, for me, I had not seen the original one of these. But this movie is an absolute fucking heart wrencher and has an iconic soundtrack that my wife and I will get drunk and just belt in our house. And Nate, you have even learned how to play many of the songs on acoustic guitar. So we've been known to have
There's
a few
some,
libations. With singing.
Yeah. These do well. I mean, in the movie, there's acoustic guitar accompanying it, so it does really well. I need to go back and rewatch this. I've seen this once, kind of around the time it came out. Yeah, I remember.
It's not an easy watch.
Yeah, definitely not. Nope, definitely not an easy watch. But yeah, Bradley Cooper really encompasses this role for sure.
Yeah, but it was a movie that I remember affecting me, and I just felt like it emotionally connected perfectly. Sam Elliott is awesome in it. Did not know Lady Gaga had that kind of acting chops. And I think might have in a lot of ways caught lightning in a bottle because I've heard in House of Gucci she's pretty bad, but this was her role and just a nearly flawless film.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes along with what you're saying. Yeah, catching lightning in a bottle with her. There was enough of just, hey, this is a movie about an aspiring singer who turns into basically a rock star, and she's like, well, I mean, I can kind of live that role. So
yeah,
let me jump in there. Let me sing 50% of it, and I think we're good.
Yeah, and of course her vocal ability is, I mean, pretty unfathomably high. So yeah. A Star is Born, the 2018 version. I have not seen who's in the original again? What's the
Barbara Streisand.
Barbara Streisand. That's right. Yeah. Still haven't seen that one.
Yeah. Well, good. I like going through these too, so I can go back and revisit some of these, and I've got another list of my editable top 100. So who knows? This may move some things around.
Yep. All right. Our favorite number, 69.
Uh-oh.
So what is your number 69 movie of all time, Nate?
69. This is one that I'm sure will be up on some fellow bros lists. Banners, especially, imagining it will be very high. But going back to the 90s, 1993, Jurassic Park.
Yes.
69. I mean, this
is
just
one. Would you bet right now this is in everyone's list?
It would have to be. That would be a safe assumption. Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably like 10 movies that I would say is in everyone's, and this is one of them.
This is one. I mean, like a pillar, I don't know, that the stone that holds the house up, or that's not even a good analogy, but for all of us, I mean, it's just such a staple of our childhood coming out in 1993. The advancements in animatronics at the time, like seeing like the Jurassic, I mean, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, the Raptors. It was like, I mean, it was just a fantasy for all of us. And even if you weren't that into dinosaurs, I was
If you weren't
relatively
before, you
yeah,
were after, you know?
yeah. It just it brought fantasy to life for a lot of people.
That kitchen scene with the raptors, iconic.
Yeah, I mean, it just it brings in so many different elements. I mean, you're scared on the edge of your seat. You want to piss your pants during the famous T-Rex scene when the water is shaking. Iconic.
Absolutely iconic.
And
The
but
score.
then yeah,
I don't know if you
come
mentioned
on.
it already. Sorry.
No, and I ramble all over the place on these. I was hoping I was going to get to there at some point. But yeah, John Williams. I mean, in and of itself, I could put this in my top 100 just for the score and say,
Correct.
fuck the movie. I'm just going to talk about the score and how iconic it is and how recognizable it is. I mean, it's up there with any other thing with Star Wars. It's going to be, I don't know, maybe top 3 iconic scores.
Also,
ever.
I never knew that a glass of water could elicit fear in my body until that scene where the glass is sitting there and T-Rex is like using the water to shake.
Yeah, it just brought on. Yeah, it was so next level with the animatronics and the CGI.
Filmmaking can, there are certain delineations in, filmmaking and the process of it. Yeah. And there's a clear delineation where there's everything before Jurassic Park and then everything after.
That's a really good way of putting it. Mm-hmm. For sure.
It just changed the game.
Yeah. But I think I said on the last spot, I'm bad at kind of explaining sometimes why I like these movies, but I love it.
Yeah, you don't have to justify it.
I don't need to explain it too well because this is kind of just a no-brainer for being on there.
And yeah, I double-checked. This is definitely yet to come on my list.
Yeah, as I would imagine.
Sooner rather than later, though, I will say that.
Yeah. Yep. Good stuff.
And yeah, we will. I'm sure Banner has an easy way to. We have our top 100 list posted in the description of this podcast as well as on our website, bro4squad.com at the very top. But I'm sure Banner will have a way to quickly search like which ones are repeating on our list, because I would venture this is definitely one of the 5 or 10 that we all have. I'd be shocked.
Yeah, we'll have to double. Yeah, that'll be a fun game to kind of play at the end. See like the cross referencing and see what a crossover we have on all these.
Yeah. All right, my number 69 is the first Star Wars movie to make its appearance on my list. I won't tell you how many I have or which one is the highest. This one is, I don't think it will be argued by anyone on this podcast, and that is Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back.
Seen as one of the best sequels ever in a lot of people's eyes.
Yes, one of, I think for me, the first time that I ever saw a twist in a movie.
Yeah, it's funny. As we were talking about Top Gun earlier, and I mentioned Star Wars, and it kind of sucks being in first world problems. Being in this generation and like having Star Wars come out before, it's like a lot of that stuff, it just gets spoiled, so you never have that first iteration of seeing that in a theater or knowing or not knowing that's coming and finding out. So even like going back and like watching some of the other ones is kind of tough, like getting in the right mindset to kind of forget some things,
what was that theater experience like when people like couldn't read about it on the internet beforehand?
Well, I think we talked about this a while back, maybe in the past year or so. But Banner, his uncle, they've actually had this conversation because there was some question or something that got brought up, and that was Banner's answer. Is he would have loved to have been in the theater back in the 80s when that happened, because his uncle said that was so like mind blowing, like being there and actually seeing it happen.
Yeah, that would have been. And I think it came out like the last day of school for some people, like in May. So imagine starting your summer with the revelation that, spoiler alert, Vader is Luke's father.
Yeah, insane.
You're like, what the fuck? And then the way it ends, I think at the time people did not know if Han Solo was dead or not. Like they thought the carbonite might have killed him, I think. Yeah,
that's a good point. I'm sure a lot of people were kind of up in the air on that. Yeah, you get a lot. You get a brief introduction to Boba Fett, the much aligned bounty hunter. we didn't get much of him until recently.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know back then how prevalent this was. It's because it's not that much now. But like, how often do movies end essentially on a downer? I mean, Luke gets his hand chopped off, and then he gets it replaced. But Han is presumably dead or captured. Like, Vader basically won. They're rebuilding the Death Star. Like, at the time, things looked pretty bleak when that film ended. Infinity War, as you had on your list, at 71, obviously, like, took that and said, "Hold my beer." But
yeah,
very rare for movies, especially like summer blockbusters at the time, to end with sort of an emotional downturn.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, probably doesn't happen too often. They obviously probably had the groundwork laid for the next one to come out, but I'm not sure how much time was between that and the next movie, but yeah, probably. And that was a time when you didn't have the internet. You couldn't like communicate with a ton of people
No, you didn't know.
At a moment's notice. So, God, I can only imagine like the yearning that left for the audience and for the Star Wars fans at the time.
Yeah, like to get your news, I don't know. You'd have to like subscribe to like a magazine or something. I don't know.
Get something mailed to you weekly.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah.
All right, so yeah, at 69, Empire Strikes Back. I'm sure, again, I don't know if this one will be on everybody's list, but another good chance that it pops up on all.
Yeah, I would think so.
All right, last one we're going to do tonight, number 68. Nate, what is just barely edging out Jurassic Park on your list at number 68?
All right. Jumping in at 68 is The Prestige. 2006 Christopher Nolan. Man, I rewatched this.
Speaking of good twists.
Yeah, rewatched this within the past year or so. But man, I just, yeah, really great twist. I really love this one. This is kind of like a early Christopher Nolan we got coming out right before Batman Begins.
Sorry, this was number 79 on my list.
79. Okay, I don't think it was on the episode. Well, great. Then we can talk about this, and you can probably have some good insight too on this one. But yeah, great twist, dark twist.
Oh yeah,
realizing how this has been able to happen for so many acts, and there's a couple small subtle things I like about this too as well. I don't know why, but it's just fun, like pulling in a real historical character in Tesla. When a lot of the things that are happening are not realistic, but it kind of plays into the electricity aspect that he was toying with at the time. That's a fun thing to bring in. You can kind of toy with it. It's not like a documentary or anything, or a very historically accurate movie, but just bringing him in and kind of having them play and riff off of that is a lot of fun. And then it's always cool when a movie does this little tropey trick as well. But near the end, they go back through scenes and they show you like, oh, this is where this happened. This is where this happened. And they kind of unfold the trickery that they played. And you go back and actually
show you like little breadcrumbs they had laid earlier.
And like, it's not verbatim, but like scene for scene, like, oh, we actually saw this earlier. And so they're actually unfolding it like before your eyes and like, oh shit, we saw that. It's not like a smoke and mirrors trick or anything. You actually put this in the movie. The audience overlooked it because it thought it was insignificant. And then it ends up playing out that way in the end. But yeah, overall, I mean, the twist really holds this one together. I mean, you got a great cast. You got Christopher Nolan. It's going to be tough to beat that.
Rebecca Ferguson, I think, is the first thing that I saw her in. She's incredible in this.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough to talk about it without spoiling the twist, but it definitely has you thinking, I'll just say that anything is possible before the twist. Like, it definitely sets up multiple things that you're like, I could believe this is happening. And I'll be honest, what it ends up revealing to be the truth is not one of the things that I was considering.
No, and I think it adds an extra layer, and this won't be a spoiler, I don't think, but like how dark and twisted it is, and like what this character goes through on a nightly basis. I'll say that.
Yeah, but,
And very,
And
I mean,
and visually too. I mean, Nolan had like kind of started to establish his visual style, but there's some
mhm,
really cool shots in this. Like that scene with all the light bulbs where he's like in the snow
yeah,
is like mind blowing to look at.
yeah.
This I know this came out after The Dark Knight, right? Like pretty close to it.
It
Or
came out right
sorry,
before The Dark
Batman
Knight.
Begins. I mean. Okay.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, so Nolan had like he was definitely like kind of new kid on the block in terms of Hollywood, but this was the thing where he was like, "Oh damn, so this guy is not just about Batman. Like he's got a little more to him."
Yeah, yeah. I think a second ago I said it came out before Batman Begins, but yeah, it came out right before the Dark Knight. It was after Batman Begins had come out. Um, but yeah, it does a great job with the visuals as well, and it's always funny like going back and rewatching, like seeing all the top hats like scattered about, and then reflecting on what all those top hats are, and then how it plays into the twist and everything.
Right. The top hat budget must have been 26 million.
Unlimited. They
I
didn't
do not
care.
envy the costume designer for the Prestige. Like Jesus Christ, how many top hats we need?
Yeah. But yeah, this kind of set up for a love and appreciation for Christopher Nolan going forward into his other endeavors.
Yep. A lot of characters in it. Actually, I think every main character has a role in some superhero movie. Because Rebecca Ferguson's in Iron Man 3. Obviously, Hugh Jackman is Logan. We have Christian Bale and ScarJo. Michael Caine's Alfred. So,
Yeah, a lot of connections there.
great one.
Love it.
All right. Last one of the night.
Let's hear it.
I go back to 2018 with my number
Ooh.
68 film of all time. Cycling and I did a
Recent
review
one.
on this when it came out. I cannot tell you how much I love this movie. I'm actually kind of surprised it's this low. It's the 2018 Screen Life thriller Searching, starring John Cho.
I
Now-
have not seen this.
All right, so are you familiar with what a Screen Life movie is?
No, inform me.
So it's basically told in real time through like a computer screen. So like the Unfriended movies or Screen Life movies, where it's like a Skype call that they record and film the whole
Okay.
time. So that is the method of searching. It's a very short movie. It is I guess it's an hour 42, but it flies by.
Yeah.
The premise is John Cho is a father and this is revealed in the first 5 minutes, so this isn't a spoiler, but his wife passed away due to cancer a few years ago, and he has a teenage daughter. And one night his teenage daughter is out. He gets 3 missed FaceTime calls from her in the middle of the night. And the next morning, he is unable to locate her. And he finds her laptop in the kitchen and uses it to retrace her steps. And he stumbles upon some very startling information. And it's about him. It's all told through him going through her computer, trying to trace where she possibly could have been the night before and what possibly could have happened to her. And let me just say this. No, that'll be too big of a spoiler. Let's just say there are twists. That's all I'll say.
There are twists.
Not a singular one.
Not a singular one. Huh. Yeah, I'm looking at this one right now. This seems pretty intriguing. Deborah Messing in it.
Yeah, Deborah Messing plays an FBI agent who works in like cybersecurity, who is helping him. And this was a movie. I think I saw this in Cycling. I again did a spoilers review on this back in 2018, but I saw it in theaters with him, and I audibly think he and I yelled, "Oh shit!" in the theater when one of the things is revealed. So it's not scary, but dude, it is like you'll be on the edge of your seat with this. Like it, and it's just the Screen Life. I get it's not for everybody, but I think it, as a director, it leaves a lot of ways for you to be creative, like lots of things you can do. Now I know it's limiting. It obviously has its limitations in a lot of ways. Like you're set in one locale, but there's just a lot of like fun, cool ways that you can hide things from the audience and then reveal things to the audience that are all taken advantage of in this.
Yeah, I'm all for that kind of new and innovative ways of showing movies and telling stories. And one of the things I'm just looking at this right now, you've got me intrigued. I'm going to have to find this and watch this because the director was also a writer on the movie Run, which I know we have both seen.
Oh, yeah.
Which we both enjoyed. Huh. Okay.
Yeah, if you can find this somewhere, I would highly recommend it. And you can watch it with the wife because it's not scary. My wife loved it.
I don't like scary movies either, so I can watch it with myself.
Yeah, because I know when I say Screen Life, the Unfriendeds are like straight up horror movies. Like there's like a lot of jump scares in them. This is not like that. The fear is really not the fear, but like the thrills are really derivative of like you trying to sort of figure this thing out as her dad is sort of figuring things out. Also, I'm not a parent yet, but the horror of going through your teenage daughter's laptop in general is like what might I find?
Yeah, probably not the best.
So, Searching from 2018. I'm wondering if this will be on Cycly's list as well. I think it's got a shot.
I'm intrigued to find out. 7.6 on IMDb, not too shabby.
Yeah, for a Screen Life movie where I feel like the way that the story is being told is inherently pretty polarizing. Like 25% of people are just gonna be like, I'm not gonna fuck with that.
Yeah, pretty underrated. Just looking at, I mean, there are only 159,000 reviews, which is pretty low. So looks like a good underrated one right here.
Yeah, if you check it out, would love to have an on-pod discussion about it.
Awesome.
So, all right, that's all I got. Is that all you got, Nate?
That is it.
Before we let the people go for episode 185, what advice, what wisdom can you impart on them?
I don't think this has been imparted lately. We're going to go off the traffic scene. I know we have a lot of driving or traffic tips, but we're going to go back to about a month ago, and we're going to kind of impart some knowledge that me and Horns revisited. Be careful mixing your alcohol. You may have a bad experience. Make sure you kind of stick to 1 or 2 per night. From personal experience, you don't want to go all day drinking wine and then switch to whiskey and seltzers. And not saying that we did do that, but we did.
No, and then beers as well.
And then had an interesting night to follow. So, just learn from our mistakes.
I felt like I was the cast of Titanic, like I was poisoned.
I felt like I was dying.
So my Fitbit charted that I had 1,200 steps that day, which to me even seemed high. But the crazy thing was I had 14 minutes of screen time on my phone that whole day after with the hangover, that's how dead I was.
I do 14 minutes like right when I wake up.
Yes, I do 14 minutes like before I piss the day. And that whole day I was just face down either in my bed or in the toilet.
Yeah. It's one of those times where you have a stuffy nose, then your nose is unstuffed, and you don't realize how great it is having an unstuffed nose until it's unstuffed. It was one of those times where I have a new appreciation on life.
Yeah, my
after going through that,
my gratitude for the times that I'm well has increased tenfold since.
Yes, count our blessings.
So I'll just second what Nate said, but I'll also say what I always say. When you're going to get your hair cut, just make smart decisions. There's a time in life where it pays off to take risks, and I don't think the barber's chair is one of them. Maybe you'll get lucky, but I doubt it. I know it's not permanent, but it's going to last you 5 weeks.
Take risk when you're trying a new Oreo flavor, or
there we go,
or trying a new Doritos flavor. Not when you're fucking with your livelihood on top of your head.
Also, another piece of advice, the little poster they have at the barbershop that has like all the hairstyles, you don't look like that person, so you're not going to look like that person.
They're a model for a reason.
Exactly. So hot.
It's fake.
All right. For the American hero Nate Thurmond, I am the Mayor Jeff Hornacek. We are the Bro4 Squad podcast. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. Follow us on Twitter at Bro4 Squad. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and Letterboxd. If you type in Bro4 Squad as 3 separate words, and check out everything that we've posted on our website at bro4squad.com. Till next time, we'll see you at the movies.
That's all.
Perfect. Any more, we have to pay for the coffee.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just keep it to that.